How do we manage, distribute, own, share our vital natural resources like biodiversity, like water, even the atmospheric commons? There's been a lot of debate on the term commons, so let me just stress that commons have to first and foremost be local, because commons are those which are self-managed systems organized by living in local communities. And it's only after community management at local level, you get commons at national level, and then you get the global commons. But if, for example, a town does not handle its air pollution, there is no way you can handle the global atmosphere.
Information techneurosis will mass cyberpsychosis. No need to flee from reality just to be a slave of the industry. Upload yourself or flush your life. Don't waste another century on electric strife. Get up and turn off your screen. Look to blood fire trees, red, gold and green. Red, gold and green.
And there have been intellectuals like Aaron Harnan who floated an article that has had so many citations even though it's been defeated again and again. The article talked about the tragedy of the commons. It basically said that commons must degrade. You can't manage systems in public ways. The only way you can manage anything is on the basis of private greed. And they created a very fictitious example of pastures.
Welcome to the real world. Welcome to the real world. Welcome to the real world. Welcome.
But I live in India, where pastures are some of the best managed commons. That's where the poor get their firewood, their fodder, their medicinal plants. That's where the cows graze. There's no problem of managing commons. There is a problem when the commons are enclosed. And the history of the enclosure of the commons, of course, goes back to the beginning of the Industrial Revolution. But there are present-day enclosures happening. The most important being the enclosure of biodiversity.
Bienvenidos a ver la tropa 24.3. Bienvenido a la Pachamama. Estés donde vos estés.
The entire agreement in the WTO, called the Trade-Related Intellectual Property Rights Agreement, is an agreement for privatizing biodiversity. They didn't need a new law for how authors' rights should be protected. Those rights existed. But they did need a new international law to impose on the world monopolies and privatization of life itself in the form of patenting life. It takes what belonged to the people, the common property resources of people, and makes them the monopoly private property of global corporations. The case we fought was against a company in Texas called Rice Tech. Texans seem to have this idea of thinking that if there's oil in the Middle East, it belongs to them. If there's rice in India, it belongs to them. And how dare the world think otherwise? Rice Tech claimed to have invented a novel rice line, which was an ancient rice in my valley called the basmati, the aromatic rice. They claim to have invented it instantly. And they claim to have invented the length of the grain, the height of the plant, the aroma of the rice, and even methods of cooking. 1.5 million liters a day. They have drained rivers and lakes dry. And tribal women are fighting Coca-Cola. They're going to jail every week, but they are not giving up.
Welcome to the real world. Welcome to the real world. Welcome to the real world. Welcome.
But how do you live without water?
Welcome to the real world. Welcome to the real world. Welcome to the real world. Welcome.
Second company in water privatization. Swiss tried to privatize our sacred river Ganges. 635 million liters of Ganges water.
You're living in a matrix. One day you're an Asterix, dying in a virtual world. Don't know if you're a boy or a girl. So you think the Lord didn't do it well? That man can do better and improve this place. I'm sorry my brother, you're in love with hell. Go down to the river, reflect your face. What you see in that water is from creation itself. No scientist can even make one hand, but the bastard tried to make some profit. They got to eat the sand. But first many more people will have to die from hunger, thirst and strange defects. And maybe in your weird place you hear no children cry, but you feel like hell, cause all cause have effects, yo.
And that's what's lovely, that we do share a basic worldview about the fact that the world is not for sale. Our world is not for sale. Public systems must stay public. Common heritage must stay common. Thank you.